1.1 billion people in the world don't have access to clean water. My efforts are going to be a drop in the bucket. But if I had never taken that step because it was too big of a problem, then we wouldn't be anywhere right now.
Gracias, señores.
In December of 2003 is when the idea came for the organization Wine to Water. We're very involved with water filtration around the world.
When we take the water from the street and we put it in here, the water that's in the bottom is not going to be making you feel sick to your stomach anymore.
February of last year, I get a phone call from someone in the CNN Heroes department saying that I've been nominated, which was completely shocking.
From Boone, North Carolina, meet Doc Hendley. Through his Wine to Water program, this bartender provides clean, sustainable water to thousands worldwide.
This ceiling that we were kept hitting over and over, that we can only tell this amount of people about this water crisis, was just completely shattered. Everything from when you're nominated to getting through the top 10 to being in the Kodak Theater could not have made me and everybody that was around me feel more special. I'm very proud to be a part of this group.
For many trapped in the rubble of downtown Port-au-Prince, the struggle to live continues.
The earthquake happened in Haiti. Immediately, I went down there and to figure out where I could be plugged in.
She can't get well if she doesn't have anything to drink.
Obviously, you can see it's something that I'm very passionate about now. Sorry, I never, yeah. In 5 years, my goal is to have reached 1 million people for clean water.
If you find something you're passionate about, I don't care who you are, you will make a difference.
My name is Doc Hendley. I'm a 2009 CNN hero. I started the organization Wine to Water.
Please give a warm Talent Connect welcome to Doc Hendley. Thank you.
All right, so I gotta be real honest with y'all. I always have a hard time starting out with that video because CNN's job when they made it was to make me look as perfect as possible. They had a lady with a makeup kit that would follow me around and powder my nose every few seconds, and then somebody that would like fix my beard to make sure there wasn't any stragglers or anything like that. And the problem with that is that's not who I am at all. I'm one of the more imperfect, average, maybe even below average people that you'll ever meet in your entire life. And it was hard for me growing up with that type of mentality. I actually had a really difficult time as a kid because everybody in my family, it seemed to me, were exceptional in some way, shape, or form. And just to give you an idea, I think I come from a little bit of an extreme case. So I loved sports growing up. My family's real athletic, but I never measured up to anyone, my brothers, my cousins, my granddaddy. And to give you an idea, my granddaddy played professional football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I tried to play football, but I was never, even close to that good at all. And basketball, I love playing basketball, but I wasn't anything like my younger brother by 4.5 years. He's 6'9", okay? So can you imagine when I'm 19 years old and trying to play ball and I get dunked on by my 15-year-old brother? It's not really good for your ego. And I played golf as well. I enjoyed that, but I was never like my cousin who I grew up with. His name's Lucas Glover. He's on the PGA Tour right now. He won the U.S. Open a few years ago. Yeah, so it was hard for me. It was difficult to try to be an athlete because I was never great. Never liked them. In fact, I rarely got off the bench. And then if you even take academics, I was a C minus, maybe a few D's here and there type student. I learned later on in life that I don't do so well in a classroom setting. I have to get my hands dirty. I got to see it. I got to figure out, what makes it tick to learn. So it was tough for me in school, but it was harder to see my sister, who she was top of the class. She was like the salutatorian or the valedictorian or one of the really smart people. When they walk down the stage at graduation, her robe looks completely different than everybody else. She's got all these things hanging down her neck and these different colored tassel. And I just was lucky to get to walk down the stage. And so for me, it was difficult. Everything I tried to do, I always felt like I never measured up. You know, and so what happened? What changed? Why am I up here today? I don't really know. I don't really have a great answer to that, but I know exactly when it happened. This was December of 2003. I was trying to struggle my way through a university degree at North Carolina State University in Raleigh. I decided to be a communications major. I had one semester left in communications, and to be honest, even though I had one semester left, I still had no idea what a communications major did when they got out of school. No clue. In fact, I think I might have taken the major for all the wrong reasons, because when I sat down with my academic advisor after a couple of years, she's like, "Doc, you can't just take classes in randomness and expect to major in everything or randomness. You have to pick something." And I'm like, "Okay, well, show me what you got." So she laid them out, and she mistakenly showed me the gender breakdown of each major. And there was 80% women in communications. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but that's exactly what I want to be studying right there. And so I'm taking this major, of course, for all the right or wrong reasons, however you want to look at it. And I'm also bartending my way through school and playing some music out at different nightclubs and bars around Raleigh. And I actually really loved that job. I loved that scene. And it was not because of the late nights and the partying and all that stuff. I actually really loved it. You know, 5 o'clock happy hour would come. I'd have all my regulars, and you'd have a guy with a white collar who's a CEO of some company sitting next to a construction worker, next to a school teacher, next to a stay-at-home mom, next to somebody that's just lost their job. And everybody's on the same playing field. Nobody's looking up or down at anybody else. Everybody's there just to kind of forget about their day, to talk about sports or politics or whatever, and just there's none of this up and down stuff. So to me, it was really about the people, why I loved being a bartender. It was the relationships that brought me back every day with a smile on my face, and when I actually couldn't wait to get to my job. But I also got to the point at that same time where I had a great friend of mine. Her name's Tasha Sullivan, and she sat me down one night. I'd just gotten done playing a gig at this club, and y'all, I'm not even a great musician. I'm not any American Idol. I'll never win anything like that. I sing stuff like Johnny Cash. You know, I could be like, "I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling around the bend." You know, you don't have to have an amazing voice to do that. In fact, I could wake up with a cold that morning and sound better, sound more like Johnny Cash. So I'm getting done with the gig. I'm sitting at the bar, and she looked over at me, and she's like, "Is this it? Is this all you're going to do with your life? You're going to bartend, you know, maybe finish your degree, and that's it?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I hadn't really thought much about it. I don't." "Yeah, sure." She's like, "You're better than that. If you sell yourself short and this is all you do for the rest of your life, I might be your best friend, but I'm going to be pretty pissed at you." And it was the first time actually that somebody had been very honest with me, somebody that I trusted, but that did it in an encouraging way and said, "You can do better." Because most of my life, I'd seen my coaches, my parents, my teachers, they'd put their arms around my brothers and sisters and cousins and say, "You know, you're going to do great things with your life." And then they put their arm around me and be like, "You know, Doc, we just hope you stay out of prison, buddy," you know. And that was it. So it was strange to have somebody encourage me like that and think that I could do better. And so I took a break from school, from bartending. I went home. My parents were living in a small mountain town in the mountains of North Carolina. And it was really strange. One night, really late, I was kind of in between sleep and not quite asleep, not quite awake. And I had this phrase over and over in my head. And it was the phrase, "wine to water." Wine to water. And I couldn't get it out, so I woke up, grabbed a pad and a pen, and I was thinking, I write a little bit of music too. Maybe this is the inspiration for some, kind of country song. And so I started writing it down. And right when I stared at it on the page, my insides got all knotted up. And I was looking at the words, and obviously I'd heard it the other way around. My old man was a preacher man growing up, and he told me about the first miracle water to wine. And actually that was my favorite one because it proved that Jesus guy was probably way cooler than what I had thought about growing up. Like, there was a party, it ran out of booze, and he made a bunch of wine so it would continue. And I'm like, man. So I've heard it the other way around, but why is it backwards? And I just kept staring at that last word, water. And I felt like I was supposed to know something. And I probably shouldn't say this to this crowd here, but up until then, especially, I was probably the most technologically unsavvy person that you'll ever meet in your entire life. And so I just heard from some friends at school that there was this thing called Google out there that you could go in and type in, like, questions and information, and it would just spit back answers to you, you know? So I go down and get on my parents' computer, and I type in, you know, water issues. Actually, it's probably more like water issues, water problems, and what filled up that screen was what changed my life. The very first thing I saw was 1.1 billion people with a B don't have access to clean drinking water. I remember staring at that and thinking, you know, that can't be right. I'm not a math major, but I'm pretty sure there's only 6 or 7 billion people in the world. So if over one of those billion doesn't have access to clean water, I'm pretty sure that I would have heard about this by now. So I'm pretty sure this Google thing is all jacked up. There's no way that it could be right. But sure enough, one search after another, one UN article after another, over 1 billion people. And then the next article just did it in for me. It was from the WHO, and it said that more children in our world die from dirty water than anything else. And then it listed 3 more. The second one was one that I'd heard plenty about, HIV/AIDS. Some of my favorite musicians, they do the red campaigns, and they wear the ribbons, and I heard plenty about that. The third one was malaria. You know, I learned in school that malaria killed more of our soldiers in Vietnam than bullets. You know, I knew that was pretty bad. And the last one, I didn't know much about it. It was tuberculosis. The third was tuberculosis. And I didn't know much, but there was this game I used to play when I was younger in school that was called Oregon Trail. And you try to, you know, get all the way to Oregon with your family. And my wife would always die from tuberculosis. So I don't know what it was, but I knew it was pretty bad. So the next thing I saw is just shocked me. It said, dirty water kills more than all 3 of those combined together.